Yes, Group 4 does have a need to sabotage America, and I'm as concerned about that as you are. I think you're wasting your energy focusing on groups 1, 2, and 3. And I also believe that we have a lot of Group 4 in ourselves. We hate ourselves. And the reason I hate anti-Semitism is because it absolves us of our own ethnomasochism.
Well, I would just rebut that by saying, all these other groups, they are race loyal. That's the problem. Like my problem is not just with leftism, as expressed by secular Jews, of which, by the way, 80%, something like 70 or 80% of Jews in America vote for Democrats. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the majority of Jews in America are secular leftists, international types. And so we can, and by the way, they don't consider themselves white. And it's a classic trope. They're white when they need to be, and they're not white when they need to be also. And
but they're realizing now
sides.
At post-October 7th, they're realizing with these protests that, holy shit, I am white. I got the Marxist students.
No, they're just realizing that the diversity that they've pushed for decades and decades is now turning on them. It's not turning out to be such a good idea. Brett Stevens, a conservative Jew, says that diverse America is the safest for Jews, and Trump is the greatest threat to that because of his immigration policy.
Right.
And they're all for all of the things that we support on both sides until it comes to Israel.
Is right now saying, holy fuck, I guess we are white. I screwed up.
They're not saying that, though. They're not saying that. They're saying that the non-white people now don't like Israel, and now they're all moving rightward. They're moving towards a more nationalistic disposition. But Jews do not see themselves as white. When you talk about even like, watch like the Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm show. Larry David's like a liberal Hollywood comedian Jew, somebody who, and I, and Gavin, we roll in the same circles in politics. When these Jews come up to me, they say, oh, Ben Shapiro's not even a real Jew. Oh, this one, they're always telling us who's not really a real Jew and who's really not a Jew. Larry David is like a Hollywood liberal, whatever. But you watch that show, that's just an example. And it's such a communitarian lifestyle. That's their whole social group. That's who they hang out with. They regard Jews better than they regard other people. It's like I said before, they have the same kind of in-group preference that blacks do. What makes it pernicious is that they have so much influence. So
it's kind of like how you have the same admiration for the Catholics.
Can you not interrupt me?
Did you just turn up your mic audio before you interrupted?
I think he did. But here's the thing. This is so
I pressed
pernicious.
The mute button on accident.
This is so pernicious because you have a self-serving minority group with power. So what does a self-serving group do with power? They use it to serve themselves first. And then the Goyim get the scraps. The American public gets the scraps. And by the way, that's liberal Jews, but Hasidic Jews, like I said earlier, I mean, Gavin, you're on the same side as Adam, who is just bashing. I mean, you're a Catholic, and he's bashing the Catholic Church. His wet dream is for a Jewish Messiah to destroy the Vatican and loot it and distribute all its goods as reparations to the nations of the world. And he can't even stand it. But that's what you want. And Gavin, you're Catholic, and he's apparently on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And listen to the animosity. I heard him on a stream. He said that Peter and Paul are evil people because they abandoned their own religion. There's nothing more evil than that. He thinks Christianity is a wicked doctrine. He says Christians are only people that are just afraid of hell, afraid of an eternal hell. They don't realize there's reincarnation. You go to like a therapy session. You go to Jewish hell is you go to psychotherapy for 300 years. Then you're reincarnated as somebody else. He says, Christians are only just afraid of hell. That's why Christians try to do good in the world, because we don't think it's like, it's a little good, little bad. You get a do-over. So they're all on the same team. And the one thing they all have in common is they all hate Jesus. That's the thing they all have in common.
That's not true. See, that's absolutely not true.
How much
Jesus was a righteous person. Let's talk about Jesus, Nick.
Do you know how much this guy has done for Christians in Iraq? Like, this guy has raised millions of dollars protecting Christians in the Middle East who are dying to the tune of 12 a day. And I don't see any of these people who criticize people like Ezra Levant doing anything for Christians in the Middle East. Larry David is in this category. He's an atheist. Temple is bullshit. Temple is fake. These are socialist fucking atheists, and we all have that same enemy. if Adam King has said or Andrew King has said bad things about Catholics, yeah, he doesn't like you, you don't like him. I don't really give a shit about that. All I'm trying to argue with here is your assumption that they pretend that it's a group of different people, but when the shit hits the fan, they unite. That is the crux of our disagreement. I fundamentally disagree with that. When the shit hit the fan on October 7th, these pussies said, "Fuck Israel." These guys banded together.
They didn't. And the left evaporated.
Of course they did.
The left in Israel
chaining
evaporated.
themselves and shutting down traffic in Los Angeles. They're having Jewish protests to protest Israel and shutting down traffic all over the United States. How could you be so intellectually dishonest to say that they're not?
You're just wrong. Larry David is pro-Israel.
Percentage.
Greenblatt is pro-Israel. All these people are, everybody on CNN, everybody would say fake news CNN, liberals, Jake Tapper, Wolf Blitzer, Dana Bash, all the Jews on there. I mean, they literally, when the October 7th attack happened, they had like wall-to-wall coverage where it was just Jewish presenters only supporting Israel. I mean, look at the State Department. Look at like Joe Biden's State Department. We sent our Secretary of State over there who said, our liberal Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, goes over and says, I don't come before you just as the American top diplomat. I also come before you as a Jew. Is Antony Blinken a Hasidic reactionary? No, but there's a dozen examples like this.
All the lefties who were saying ceasefire, all the lefty liberals who were saying ceasefire from day one, NPR, all these left-wing radio stations had nothing but Palestinian rights. They care so much about, look at Queers for Palestine. Like the left, the Jew left is obsessed with Palestine. And that, by the way, is a white trait. And that is my life goal these days, is to figure out why whites hate themselves so much. This is a white person. Why do whites want their own demise? And I hate when you blame the Jews for everything, because it absolves you of your own self-hatred. Not you particularly, Nick, or Vince, but white people in general. We love to hate ourselves, and Jews are part of that because Jews are white.
All right, let me frame this question here. This is a very important question, and I need to frame it this way, because we keep talking about a percentage, and I hear this. It's 30% of Jews are doing 100% of the bad shit in a country. Am I getting you wrong on that, Gavin? Is that what you're kind of saying? It's only 30%. It's not the majority.
No, I didn't say that. I said, as far as white ethnomasochism, these people are responsible for 30% of it. That's just, I'm just pointing out.
Okay, cool. But I'm not even going to try to disagree with you as a moderator here. What I want to point out is that, when we look at stats, right, sometimes they even say that 13% or maybe even 6% of the population commits over half the violent crime, and in some cities up to 90%. Percentages aren't always a good resolution of what the overall effect is. And this is actually a very terrible question, and someone's going to quote me on this and try to blame me for being, full of hatred or wanting to end Jewish existence, and that's not what I'm doing here. As a moderator, I just want to ask this question. When in Australia right now, they just introduced anti-extremism laws in response to the Arabs saying the Jews and the protests against Israel, which are predominantly Arab-led, Arab-based. Now, of course, they targeted the Roman salute, so they've made that punishable by up to a year in prison. They've made edgy memes with swastikas, a year in prison, and downloading PDFs and books like Mein Kampf for the inference of radicalizing yourself, prison up to 5 years. So it's weird how, again, Jews are 0.4% of the population in this country. They are overrepresented, of course, like every country, in the elitist and the wealthy class. They were upset. There's tons of white guilt here. They didn't like people being upset at them. Instead of punishing the Arab immigrants, who are the ones leading the cause, they've made Nazism illegal and made right-wing nationalism the target of these new domestic emergency violence laws. That being said, 30% of Jews are causing 100% of the Jewish hate because they're causing the problems. Okay, let's go with that truth. And down to it that Jews are not a huge portion and that whites cause a lot of the problems. This is a horrible, horrible question, but I want to just bluntly ask you, would the West be better off with just kicking all of the Jews out?
That's a good setup.
Are you drunk?
And now we're back to the same question that Zerka was rambling his fat ass about. It was, oh, the Jews are getting kicked out of 109 countries.
You
Where
want to kick all the Jews
like
out of
that
the
is the
Western
most
world?
retarded thing I've ever heard. Would America be better off? I'll tell you something about Jews. We are incredibly diligent and hardworking, and we stick together because of shit like this. Because we're not welcome everywhere. We're only welcome amongst ourselves, even if we hate each other some of the times. I don't want to be stuck in a survival pod with Larry David and Sarah Silverman. But if everybody's coming after the Jew, my chances of survival are better with those two losers.
So you just admitted what we've been saying. Then the left-wing Jews and the right-wing Jews stick together when it comes to Gavin's shaking his head over here, so you're not helping him out.
It's the truth. When the right wingers like Nick want to lump all Jews into one category, it doesn't leave me any room to go after and purge my own society of the opiates in my society. You know, like when you went on your debacle with Kanye and you were going all around and Kanye was on Gavin's show and he said, are all Jews to blame? Blacks aren't disproportionately in crime? Are all blacks? I don't go around saying all blacks are responsible for crimes. Are all Jews evil? And he said, yeah. And it's like, where do I fit into that? That was like I loved Kanye West before that thing. Why did he?
Now you don't like him anymore?
Why would I like him? Why would I
because
like him
you're
anymore?
because you're not a universalist.
It pains me to not listen to his music. When his song comes on the radio, it's like, oh, this fucking piece of shit again.
Because you're
I'm not gonna like somebody who
lens.
doesn't like. I don't have to like somebody who doesn't like me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I know.
If they don't want me to exist, I don't need to become their fanboy or their
Adam. If you were to get rid of two religions, if you were given the choice, or you had to get rid of one religion, and it was Islam or Catholicism, which one would you get rid of?
Great question.
Duh.
What?
What'd you say?
Catholicism.
What?
Yeah,
of course. What do you think? Who do you think you're talking? You're on the debate stage with.
You guys have
we've known.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
Let me explain myself. You want to hear an explanation, or do you want my one word?
No, we want the go off, please.
All right. So here's the thing: Jesus was a real man, and he brought down a teaching, and he had a vast menagerie of writings, unbelievable amounts of writings. Somehow the Catholics at Nicaea only saw it important to include Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Eusebius points out that the first 15 popes were actually Jews. So in the beginning of Catholicism, when they embraced the other teachings of Jesus, like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, and all these other Gospels, there was a lot more palpability between we can't call them Catholics because they weren't Catholics. Catholicism is really a Nicene invention, and it's a Nicene invention based in limiting the amount of texts that people have to understand Jesus. So Catholicism itself is not getting rid of Jesus religions. It's getting rid of fake news inside of Jesus religions. You know, I always wonder why nobody ever stood to learn the Apocrypha or to learn the Nag Hammadi library or any of these other texts that are extremely relevant. I know in the Jewish culture, there's some sages that I follow. If a shoemaker from a distant place said one comment that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said this while passing in an alley, I would study it. But for some reason, Catholics don't even think that or the Catholic doctrine of Matthew, Mark, the Nicene doctrine. I don't even want to call them Catholics. I want to call them Niceans. The Nicene doctrine doesn't allow them to study anything of Jesus besides Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I think that is a detriment to Jesus himself.
But can I ask you one question? So what do you think? So you say that Catholicism is preventing the Jesus followers. You curiously don't call them Christians, Christ meaning Messiah. Now, what is your view about Jesus' crucifixion? Do you think that he was crucified and rose from the dead? Or
I divide the world up into two camps.
Well, would you think that Jesus rose from the dead?
I'm answering you. I divide the world up into two camps. There are those of us who believe that a Messiah is coming, and then there are others who don't. And the rest of it is meaningless. Is the Messiah coming or is the Messiah not coming? Now, I believe the Messiah is coming. Nick, I hope you believe that the Messiah is coming. If the Messiah
He's coming
comes
back.
Jesus,
Coming back for
Messiah
your ass,
and it's
pal.
Yeah,
Jesus,
he's returning.
I'm going to say Gesundheit. Hey, if the Messiah comes and it's somebody else, you have to understand something. The Bible's very clear. Every knee will bow and every tongue will profess. Every single person on earth is going to say, oh, that's the Messiah. It's not going to be the Christians and not the Jews. It's not going to be the Jews and not the Christians. It's Ad Shiloh. Shiloh is a gathering of all the peoples of the world, and that is the Messiah. And so there is such a fundamental understanding of the Messiah. Either you believe a Messiah is coming or you don't. I'm a Messianic. I believe that the Messiah is coming. Do I care if it's Jesus? Not at all. If the person comes and fulfills the function of what the Messiah is supposed to do, I will be the first to praise his name.
So
I don't
See, this
care
is
who
the
it
reason
is.
why. This is the reason why the Jews have have tried to subvert the Catholic Church. This is the reason why they represent Jesus. They represent Catholic priests in the way that they do in Hollywood. Is because Catholicism and Catholics are their enemy.
Well, wait. I just want to establish. So you don't then believe that Jesus was crucified and rose from the dead, correct?
I see nothing wrong with any of that. It doesn't bother me.
Do you
it
believe
doesn't
it?
Just
add or
answer the
subtract
question.
to my faith.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that happened or no?
Do I believe it happened? It's not something that I think about that often.
So you think about the apocryphal gospels,
I'll tell you something.
and you think about the Council of
I'll
Nicaea,
tell
but
you
you don't
something.
think
In
about
Judaism,
whether
more than
Jesus
one
was
person-
really raised from the dead.
More than one person in Judaism came back to life after being
Was Jesus one of them?
Yeah, but
You know what? For this argument, I'll say fine. That's okay.
Andrew,
it doesn't
Jesus is the
bother
only
me.
one
It
who
doesn't
said,
change the fact.
I am the Son of God. I guarantee you I can rise from the dead. And he rose from the dead. If there's someone drowned and they were revived, that doesn't count. Jesus was the only one who claimed he was the Son of God, was murdered for it, and then came back and proved
the
them
Jews.
all wrong.
By the Romans.
By the Jews.
By the
See,
Romans.
Adam King is gonna, and this is the reason. This is
By the
Vatican too,
Romans.
right? They try
Let's
to
talk
get
about
the
it.
Catholic Church to never
This
talk about
idea-
this.
This
right?
idea that
This
Pontius Pilate.
Adam
Let's
King
talk about
will
Jesus
say,
and Barabbas.
well, hold on.
You guys want to go down Jesus and
I know
Barabbas?
you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. I already know
What
you're
am I
gonna say. You're gonna say
Mr.
that
James?
he was that a Roman soldier put the spear in him, and the same spear is being paraded around by Hitler when Hitler was in power. It was the Jews told them to kill Christ.
Which
That's what happened.
Jews? The Jews of Jerusalem, or did all the Jews of all of earth get together and put a vote and say that all the Jews say that this is what's going to happen? Or was it a specific amount of Jews? I personally believe that the Jesus Barabbas situation never even happened. I think it's a fable and it's completely fake.
There
I
it
think
is.
there's a lot. I think there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of the Nicene.
Wait. Hold on. I know my mic cuts out when you guys speak. Flaw just told me that. I don't know. That's a sound issue on my end. So sorry. That's why I'm having a hard time interjecting. But Gavin, this is on your side here. I'll say this: you're with Adam. You let us know your opinion. You basically liquid shat splooged into the microphone, which is a pretty great statement. But I mean, from my understanding, and I don't know if anything's changed, but you're Catholic, or at least you're.
I don't think you understand how farts sound. Like they all sound moist. Do you think I honestly shit my pants?
Well, mine don't sound, dude. What do you eat? You think you're drinking too much
You
beer?
need to fart into a microphone more often. They all sound juicy. The anal lips have a bare minimum of lube, that's the same as your mouth lips. So it
Anal
always sounds like
don't be careful. You said anal juicy. So
anal
we got
lips.
But I think I just want to get your opinion because
I am mortified. That
Gavin's pissed. He's about to read he's broke out the protocols of the elders of Zion.
My co-host would rather annihilate Catholicism than Islam, and I say this to Anthony Cumia. By the way, we talked with Cumia yesterday on Compound Censored about the tunnels for like 20 minutes, so that's why I'm so jaded about the subject. But I came to Zionism from Islamophobia. I don't think people understand that. Tommy Robinson and I are the same. Like, he came to Israel and Zionism from his seething hatred of the Pakistani grooming gangs. And I came to Zionism from my seething hatred of Islam after 9/11. I'm a raging Islamophobe. I don't think Islam is compatible with the modern world. I don't really care about Jews that much. I've never really looked into the Holocaust. It's not a thing. I have, Jew pals, but I came to Judaism from the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So when my friends prefer Islam to Catholicism, dude, I gotta say,
the truth is that
the
truth is
Gavin just got converted.
He just I know. I saw him pull up on the computer the protocols of the elders of Zion right after he said that. I was like, damn.
I read it.
It's like,
I already read it. I'm a speed reader.
Yeah. See. The thing is that they would.
I think that this is a little bit too complex for you guys. Let me ask you a question.
Hold on. It was my turn to speak. I have barely gotten to speak like this whole entire time.
I muted him.
He just admitted. And this is what we've been trying to tell you for a long time, Gavin. They would rather get rid of Catholicism. If they were given the choice between Islam and Catholicism, they would choose to get rid of Catholicism, just like they would choose to get rid of white people and white nations and replace them with Muslims.
A world without
because they view. Hold on a second here. Just like they would happily replace white people with Muslims in white countries because they think that white people are a greater threat to them and to their survival than diverse populations full of Muslims.
Adam,
what's happening in London? It's just like Brett Stevens says. He says that a diverse.
Gavin, let's talk about it. Let's really talk about this issue. Gavin,
come on.
I have.
Don't be like that.
Listen,
don't abandon me.
We were impressed for 2,000 years.
Retrieving the lost artifacts of the Jewish people, which are held by the Vatican.
Yeah, I'm out.
I don't think that the Vatican represents. Let me ask you a question. Here's
Let's go.
Question. Here's a real question about Catholicism. Okay?
I knew that question would be
good one, Vince. I appreciate it. So
there he goes.
All right, whatever.
I think he's joking.
You guys do whatever you want, but the truth is I've been the Jewish people have been oppressed so hard by the Catholics.
It's not a show.
Me to say? Like, what do you expect me to say? The Catholics have all of our documents. The Catholics have all of our possessions. They parade around a story about Jesus that isn't true. They only give a partial truth about the life of Jesus. Did Jesus marry? Did Jesus have children? According to you guys, Jesus was never even had children. According to you guys, Jesus was the illegitimate son of a Roman soldier named Pantera. Listen, you guys believe that the Jews killed Jesus because of this Jesus Barabbas myth, which is perpetrated by the Catholics, which has caused the death of millions of Jews around the world. All right, you guys aren't going to hear the difference. You guys don't understand what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. We're just a bunch of stupid goyim, I guess.
Wow, this was insane, man. And this was 2 years ago, so let's be honest, Nick was right all along. He even predicted everything that was going to happen. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think. If you're with the Jew and with Gavin, even though Gavin, I hope now, knows the truth. Or if you agree with Nick Fuentes, let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you want to. Christ is the King of Kings and the only true God. God bless you.